We want to open this up to you guys and, get some thoughts on what's on your mind and any questions you may have, whether it's for Omar, Anton, or myself. We'd love to hear from you. So there's a couple guys with microphones, so feel free to raise your hand, and we'd love to start a conversation.
Hi, thank you for speaking. First question I'd like to ask is, I come from Los Angeles and I volunteer predominantly in a Hispanic school, where I teach dance and martial arts. A question I'd like to ask is, when I'm at those schools, I find that, talk about community, right? One thing that's confusing to me is, or not confusing, but one thing that occurred to me was, there's a lot of talk about, the Hispanic community, the Black community, the Asian community, and what I believe Anton was saying, that it's imperative that everyone receives perspectives from every single side. So what do you think the conversation or the national conversation should be to start bridging those racial gaps, so that it's not just the Black community, the white community, or the Asian community, it's the entire community as a whole?
Well, maybe. Well, good question. I think the first thing you have to do is to find individuals like yourself that are willing to go in. And then when you go in, the dialogue is automatic. You cannot, you cannot have this type of real dialogue without people who are essentially touching this, this phenomena of race and relationship. We have on our team, we have white, Black, Hispanic, because, at the end of the day, those problems look the same when you're up close. When you're far away, you can kind of point the differences, but up close, not feeling love feels the same as not feeling love. Yeah. Feeling confused is feeling confused. So yeah. I think that it takes you. You are an example. Or if you're doing it on your own, that's wonderful. But one of the things we love to do, we always appeal to those who are on the front line is to recruit more, so that when the dialogue is happening, your voices are the ones that are heard first, and they'll know that you are more precise. If I ask you about that school, you could tell me, because you know those students. So that's what I believe we could do to help the racial conversation become less polarized.
And I would say, if I can add something on that, you're absolutely correct. It's people like you, and it's that validation, and that's that co-signing. We have a guy, a good friend of ours in Dallas, named Don Williams. He's a white guy. He's a billionaire. Works for Trammell Crow. He way more hooded than Claire. He the only person more hooded than Claire. He go through the neighborhood, but he has the respect of the community because it's a cosign. He went in with us, and it's a validation that he gets. As the guy said on the video, it's about the trust. And so for us, bringing him into the community to listen, sort of the same way like Paul, it's that trust and it's that validation. And when you do that, especially when you're going into predominantly African-American school and you're taking someone white in, it's that distrust there, but it's people like us who have to have that cosign and that to say this person is all right, because we are biased. We are prejudiced in our own way in the way we look at stuff based upon the information and the stuff that people put out there and they give it to us. So we got to be people on the front lines in terms of dispelling that kind of stuff and being able to work in the collaboration and the cohesiveness and the cosign of each other. I think that stuff right there has to happen a lot.
Great question. Anyone else in the audience right here?
But there's still almost not a week that goes by that you don't read something in the news about people getting shot, children getting shot. And, is there anything that sticks out to you guys that you think are the top causation of this violence? And what do you think there's anything you guys have used and methods that you've used in Dallas that could be repeated in Chicago to have some success in kind of quelling the violence and the separation?
Yeah, well, Chicago is always on the radar as the place where many want to go. Yeah, the causation, I believe, is the same as it is in other areas, but it's just more intense. And what it is, it's when you feel oppressed, you want to find an enemy. You want to find someone to blame that on. So it's so easy to make the enemy the next block or the next street or the next gang or the next, me having dealt with gangs for a long time, sometimes it is a family idea, but most times it is that need to have a feeling of value and strength when you feel oppressed. So, what can you do? We believe that the whole urban specialist concept is universal. We could go there. Larry Hoover is still alive. He should be talked to, even though he's in prison. Some of those other guys who are the silent leaders should be engaged. And then, see, I tell people this all the time. If you want to stop killing, you got to convince those who are killing that killing ain't necessary. And that seems simple, but it's not. Because you got to convince someone that this gun is not your solution. So that's very one-on-one, that's up front, that's ground game, that's guerrilla warfare, and it's real. But it's possible. It's real and it's possible. And once that happens, I think what you'll do, you'll have a trend. You got to change the trend. Because right now the trend says, though everyone up here is saying we need to stop, those on the ground are saying this is the only way we survive. See, when you think you are in a jungle, you believe that I have to become more animal to survive. But you cannot be more animal than an animal. So you really have to become more human. So we have to reintroduce them with the human characteristics that they have suppressed, because as Maslow's hierarchy of needs says, when you're in survival, all you're thinking about is what's my next move, not what's my next idea. Right. And so we got to recreate those ideas. And I know that's a long-winded answer, but we've been thinking about Chicago, and we want to go to Chicago bad. Matter of fact, when Arnie Duncan was the superintendent of Chicago schools, we brought this solution to him, and he seemed to be believing in it, and he did research, and then he chose not to implement this, which I never understood, and that was years ago. And I'm not saying that this would have changed everything, but I know we would have made an impact because we want to go to Chicago.
Anything to add, Tom?
No, he did it. He did that. I was going to Snapchat that answer, but he's finished before I get my phone out.
And just to expand upon that, Omar, what you said, I'm not going to pretend to know what you guys know. However, you guys have always preached about reaching the 10%. If you can reach the 10%, explain what the 10% is and that strategy of going to those specific pockets of people in order to obtain large change.
Yeah, just like a ship has a small rudder, but that rudder directs that ship. There are people, and as Claire said, that 10% who lead that ship. When we wanted to do a violence-free zone in Dallas, I reached Anton, and I asked Anton to reach all of the OGs, the guys who ran the neighborhoods, and he had a meeting with me and those guys at Boston Market. Another thing you got to know is that people will fight when they're drinking, but not when they eat. So always have food when you want to do a peace agreement. So we were feeding the guys chicken and all of that. And Anton got up because I was trying to negotiate. And he said to those leaders, we are wrong. We're not right, man. We wrong. Whether or not we believe we are wrong. So that opened the dialogue. And so what happened is those guys gave us permission to go into those neighborhoods. Some said, we're going to join you. Others said, we can't join you, but we won't stop you. So they gave us the freedom to go in and out and so start, and it's like we were capturing kids everywhere. Come on, because they had permission. Who we may think are villains, some of these young people see them as heroes. So we have to deal with their perception, not ours.
Right.
And then use our power of persuasion and ideas to transform those individuals so that they become ambassadors of peace.
That's good. One last question.
Um, hey, hi guys. Thank you for sharing your story. They're both really powerful. Thank you for having the courage to share them. I am from a town just north of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I guess my question is, what can I do as someone who doesn't have as strong of a backstory as you guys, go into these communities and try and help people who don't look like me, who don't have the same story as me, but still are relatable enough that I can show them that change and hope is still in their future?
Let me say this to you. Thank you for being concerned enough to even want to do it. And please understand that your tools are needed in that area. Claire is not gangster Claire. She is film
What am
Claire.
I?
You're a film Claire. and so when the guys see Claire, they assume, where your camera at? Because Claire's about to tell our story.
Right.
See, you don't have to, and then let me say this to you. If you really want to do some things like this, I will commit to you to teach you our urban specialist backdrop. We can have a dialogue, a constant dialogue, because you don't have to have our story to have success.
Right.
It's not a prerequisite. You got to have the heart and then use the tools that God has blessed you with. Because I promise you that your tools, whether it's the tool of dance, the tool of persuasion, the tool of being there, the tool of caring. We have one lady, Junie, who you saw. Junie is an Italian white lady with a master's degree who is not supposed to be an urban specialist. But you cannot take her away. She is an urban specialist in her own mind, and we just let her say that. But so it's very wide. But I will commit, to helping any way we can.
Yeah, I agree. You said that. I should have Snapchat that too. and he's right, because it's not about the background, and that's another kind of misnomer that we deal with.
Right.
Because most people think that they have to have a background or some hard story to be a part of this. And we are real adamant about screening those kind of people, because just because you have the background don't give you the right to do this work. And so we turn a lot of people around who think that I got a background, I can do this, because at the end of the day, it's about your trust, your love, your ability, your passion, your availability. It's that, that matters to a kid. And like Pastor Omar said, if you showing that, those kids, those people, regardless of what their race, creed, or nationality, they gonna love you anyway. I have kids from all nationalities who love me. They just love me. I can't get rid of them. But it's not because it's because of the love. They know the love is real, and love wins over everything.
Yeah, you had somebody in the middle that had their hand up. You want to get their question?
Sure. Take one more.
I just want to start out by saying thank you all for the great work you're doing in Dallas. One thing that Speaker Ryan and I agree on is that it's community efforts like you all that actually change lives, and government can sometimes get in the way of what you all are doing. So how has government helped and or tried to stop your all's mission?
Great question.
That's a very good question.
How much time do we have, Ellen?
Yeah. Well, thank you. We did a training with some of the activists, and what we said to them, you got to have passion, you have to have strategy, and you have to have access. Without access, all the stuff we do would be very difficult. So one of the things that people like Speaker Ryan, Chief Brown, the school superintendent in Dallas, others who are government officials, they have given us access because they've seen that it's more necessary right now for us to be successful than for us to be vetted by those who normally do the vetting. So that's a great way that they've been. Now, we have had we've had the displeasure.
No, governor, good example. And that Dallas housing meeting with a lady, the lady asked you, and that was a perfect example of how government got in the way.
It was a lady, I don't know why I said it. So we were trying to do this, and the lady said she was a government official at the Dallas Housing Authority. Take that off the tape. But she was at the Dallas Housing Authority, and she said to me, don't you think that these people and these ladies would be offended that you're using felons to deal with their children? I said, man, with all due respect, it was felons who made these children. So they gonna say, thank God you brought daddy home. They are not gonna be offended. Yeah. But sometimes people just don't understand what we overstand.
Yeah.
So yeah, there are times when people just don't get it because they're not in the thick of it. But good question, and that's how we've used it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's get to the raffle. Thank you guys so much. This was wonderful. So each of you guys are the guinea pig to take out a name. We've got, it looks like a GoPro and an iPad, so both of you guys, it's on you.
All right, so I don't want to cheat.
He pull his name.
Oh my God. Oh my Joe. All right, do I say the number?
Sure.
All right. 843-9156. No, it's B43. Whatever. 9156.
All right, Steve Harvey.
All right.
Hey. What's he get?
Coming up and claim your, what was that?
It's an iPad.
iPad.
You don't want it, I can keep it. You want it?
He's not getting up off of his seat, so you might be in trouble. All right, one more, Anton. It's all on you.
Yeah, you pick this.
Okay, still, yeah. 843-9175.
All right. First row.
843-9175. Oh, there she go.
Well, thank you so much, guys, for being here. We really appreciate it. We enjoyed your questions and the conversation. We hope you enjoyed Come Back. The second season and the first season are on opportunitylives.com. You can follow us on Facebook. You can follow us on Twitter @OpLives. But before we go, we have the trailer for the second season. So hang tight in your seats and then feel free to exit as soon as it concludes. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
We're in a crisis state, let's face it. The epidemics of drug addiction and broken families and homelessness is real.
We have created a commodity of the poor, where 70 cents of every dollar goes not to the poor, but those who serve poor people.
A wholesale poverty industry.